Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas is chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Senator Cotton, I'm glad you called. I thought you were shut down today.
Well, even when the government is partially shut down, we are still at work in the Capitol. And I know the House of Representatives is currently deliberating on the bill that we passed Friday evening. And hopefully they'll pass that and send it directly to the president's desk soon. I know he just put out a call for the House to pass it without delay so he can sign it immediately this evening and get everyone back to work in the government.
So, Senator,
not having a problem again for a long time.
If DHS is, you've got to do a compromise. You will not. I hope the Republicans will not agree to suspend administrative warrants. Otherwise, that's the end of deportations. We only have 700 district court judges in the United States and some magistrates. Do you imagine the Republicans will ever agree to that?
No, Hugh, of course not. And you're right that insist on judicial warrants for illegal aliens, which has never been the standard in this country and, in fact, has been repeatedly rejected by the Supreme Court, is simply a Democratic effort to stop deportations, period. And we can't have a situation where a Democratic administration like Joe Biden can let 10 million illegals flood into our country, but a Republican administration following it can't then enforce the law and restore the rule of law by deporting illegal aliens.
Yeah. Do you have the opportunity on this special appropriations last bill for DHS to add laws? For example, could you regularize the Dreamers if you wanted to?
Yeah, so it's not a reconciliation bill, so there's no special rules. I mean, Congress can legislate as we would choose. I can tell you, I don't think there's a lot of appetite to address that kind of sweeping reforms. This is more negotiation about specifically what will happen with immigration enforcement and ICE in particular. I know the Democrats have some demands. Some of those might be reasonable. Others, like insisting on judicial warrants or that officers remove their masks so they can be doxxed by left-wing lunatics or not. But we have demands as well. We'd like to pass legislation that conditions federal funding on repealing sanctuary city laws and ordinances at states and municipalities. So we'll see if the Democrats are serious about compromise over the next 2 weeks.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, is that there must be some things that are offers that they can't refuse. For example, I think Dreamers are an 80-20 issue. I don't know where you are on it, Senator, but people who are brought here at the age of 2, or maybe you redefine it lower so that if you were brought to the country at the age of 4 and you've been here for 30 years, some kind of regularization, non-amnesty, they never get to vote, that makes it, that sort of flips the script on the Democrats. Is there any thought of doing that?
Well, I think you don't have the votes for that if it was combined with additional enforcement measures.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a ban on sanctuary cities.
Yep.
And again, the Democrats have gone so far to the left on immigration that I'm not sure that they'd be willing to vote for it. And obviously, the Republicans aren't going to vote on anything like giving even a limited regularization to people who weren't brought here through no fault of their own, if we're not addressing the wide open border that Biden created for 4 years and the repercussions of it.
You see, if I'm on the Democrat side, the worst thing you could do is offer me the Dreamers, some subset of Dreamers, and a ban on sanctuary cities, because then they're committing political hara-kiri if they oppose that, because they're going to oppose the Dreamers and they're going to because of sanctuary cities, wouldn't they find themselves torn apart?
Regrettably, I think, again, the far left is in the saddle in the Democratic Party. I mean, when the DHS bill went through the House of Representatives, I think it only got 7 or 8 Democratic votes. All the latest class of freshman Democrats in the Senate voted against the bill as well, with just a 2-week funding provision on it. So I think it's the case that most Democrats are willing to shut down the entire government, and in 2 weeks will be willing to shut down DHS before they would permit funding for immigration enforcement, period.
What happens if DHS isn't funded in 2 weeks, Senator? Does that mean TSA as well?
Well, I think this is a very important point for all of your listeners, Hugh. Patty Murray, the senior Democrat on the Appropriations Committee, admitted last week that a government shutdown or DHS shutdown will do nothing to stop ICE. ICE is a law enforcement agency. It's deemed essential. Its officers will still be on the streets doing their critical work to keep our communities safe. We also gave ICE billions of dollars last summer in the working families tax cut legislation, partly because we suspected Democrats might try to defund them. So ICE won't be affected. ICE's operations will continue. What would be affected, what you would see a degradation of service in, is the TSA at airports as we're trying to get back on our feet after a massive winter storm, or the Coast Guard, Hugh, or FEMA as people are struggling after this massive winter storm, or our cybersecurity efforts. Those would all be shut down if the Democrats refuse to fund DHS on even a short-term basis.
So, Senator, what I'm saying is that they've walked themselves into a corner. The only thing that's shut down is DHS, so that just focuses everybody on immigration. And if the Republicans put 80-20 issues on the table, they're going to win the political debate. Is that like you run the conference? Are people thinking about the fact that they put themselves in a corner?
Well, I may be the chair of the conference. I'm not sure anyone actually runs it. Since the senator is ultimately accountable to his own voters and back home, and his own convictions that he campaigned on. But you're right, Hugh, that there are some sensible and very popular immigration compromises. Those have to be paired, though, with heightened enforcement measures, and it just doesn't seem that's like where the Democratic senators are right now.
Are you going to make them at least vote on defunding sanctuary cities? I want them to vote in favor of sanctuary cities. I want them on the record one way or the other, because that's an 80-20 issue whether they know it or not.
I think that can be expected. If we get into a situation where we're having votes on this, that, or the other policy, I have no doubt that Republican senators at least will be very eager to have a vote on a ban on sanctuary cities.
Very good. Last question, Senator. President Trump has become President Yoda. I'm not quite sure what he's saying. What do you think's going to happen in Iran?
Well, Hugh, what we want to happen is to minimize the oppression and killing of the Iranian people who have risen up against their corrupt dictatorial regime, and we want to maximize the pressure that the Ayatollahs are facing. There's a lot of different ways we can do that: military means, financial means, economic means. But I think we want to keep the pressure on them and try to do everything we can to help the brave Iranian people who are protesting against their corrupt dictatorial regime.
Well, the Ayatollah said it would lead to regional war. I don't think there's anyone in the region that will help them, right? Everyone against Iran,
well, yeah.
Is that what he's suggesting?
And he was blustering about that before he blew up his nuclear facilities as well. And all he did was fecklessly shoot a few rockets and missiles at our base in Qatar while giving us advance notice so we could clear out. So
well,
I take what the Ayatollah says at face value.
I do not. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, thank you for joining me as always, even in the middle of an official government shutdown. I appreciate your still being here during the shutdown. Thank you, Senator Cotton.